Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 7 on my 31 must-hear bands of the 21st century. That's right, we're looking at my favorite bands that you guys need to hear about who formed and started releasing albums after the year 2000. All right, these are bands that are going to be infiltrating the genres we cover here on the channel, such as all forms of heavy metal, progressive rock, hard rock, classic rock, fusion. Those are the genres we cover. These are the bands that I'm going to be talking about. My 31 favorite picks. I have more than that. I'll do an honorable mentions at the end of the series, as well as those bands who formed after the year 2000, but were comprised of veterans who did a whole lot of other things before this particular period in time. So there's quite a few of those as well. I wanted to give more love to the bands who were pretty new. I do have a couple on the list who formed like in the mid-late 90s, but didn't really start releasing any albums till after the year 2000. So I will have a couple of those, but most of these are bands that formed right around 2000 or later and then started releasing albums and touring and stuff like that. So this particular band formed in 2000. They are from North Carolina, actually. So they're technically from the South, but they do not play Southern rock music by any means. They started out as pretty much a kind of like a hardcore metalcore band, and then after their like second and third albums, started taking on a lot more progressive tendencies and have morphed into a dynamite, heavy progressive metal band, and you could almost say progressive extreme metal, because they still have the harsh vocals in a lot of their music, but man, their music is so sophisticated, so crushingly heavy and complex. I'm talking about Between the Buried and Me. And I'm going to, hold on, I was looking for the album, so I'm going to hold up my favorite album by them, which is called Colors. All right, this is their great album from 2007, which is probably the album that really got them noticed to a lot of the prog metal community. They started dabbling in, more progressive stuff with Alaska in 2005, and certainly the Silent Circus in 2003. But ever since Colors came out, every album has been just a tour de force of crushing, complex, progressive metal. A lot of concept albums, too. They love doing conceptualized type things. But before we talk about the albums, let's talk about the band. So we've got Tommy Giles Rogers, the great Tommy Rogers on lead vocals and keyboards. He's been there from the very, very beginning. One of those guys who does the harsher kind of like metalcore kind of screamy, growly type thing, and he does amazing clean melodic vocals as well. So their music contains both. So, if you're not into the harsh vocals, this may be a little getting used to, but their music is so complex and so rich with great musical ideas and concepts. And I mean, joy. If you love Dream Theater and bands like that, Between the Buried and Me is just as talented as them, from a musical perspective. But they mix up the vocals quite a bit. Paul Wagner on lead guitar and lead and backing vocals. Paul, amazing guitar player. Dusty Waring on rhythm guitar, an amazing guitar player, also plays a little bit of lead here and there, but mostly he's the guy with the big heavy riffs. Dan Briggs on bass and keyboards, backing vocals, and Blake Richardson on drums and vocals. So a really, really great band. And let's talk about their album. So you've got debut Between the Buried and Me, which came out in 2002. This one, it's got its moments, but this is much more of like a hardcore metalcore type of album. But still, you can kind of hear the musicality of it, right? Still pretty good for a debut. It's really with the Silent Circus from 2003, a year later, where you really started to hear, wow, these guys are really playing some serious shit here. Some more complex arrangements, the big heavy riffs, and a lot of the screaming vocals. But man, the guitar solos, the keyboard textures, we're like, wow, there's definitely some stuff going on there. And I think it really was with Alaska, where a lot of the prog, a lot of the melodic nature of their music really started to come into fore and started to get them noticed as just a lot more than just another metalcore band on the scene. So this is the first one I heard, and I remember there was a lot of buzz about this album, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But then, man, 2 years later, and they also did this covers album kind of in between that as well, which, yeah, that's okay. But man, it was with Colors. This whole concept album with just some breathtaking songs and passages on here. This is just so good start to finish. I saw them play this in its entirety once, maybe twice, not quite, at least once. If you've never heard Colors, go listen to the whole thing. It's a rather long album, but go listen to White Walls, which is the epic length. I think it's like 14 or 15 minutes long. It's the epic song that finishes up the album. Absolutely breathtaking. Wow, so good. So good. And that would kind of set a standard for the band that I think they've been trying ever since to top. They've come close. In 2009, there's also a live album playing the whole Colors live, which is really cool. The follow-up to Colors from a studio perspective is The Great Misdirect from 2009. This is fantastic. I think it's even more complex and more intricate from not only a storyline perspective, but also from a musical perspective. I don't think it quite hits as high as Colors in spots. It's definitely really, really good, though, to great. Colors, to me, still is their crowning achievement, but this is damn close. Then you got the Parallax Two. Right, then they went and did this, kind of like a two-part thing. Parallax 2 Future Sequence, which came out in 2012. But that was superseded by the Parallax Hypersleep Dialogues EP. So basically, instead of releasing a double album, what they did was they released the Parallax concept as like two releases, the EP first and then the conclusion. So they go together. Would it have been a cool double album? I think so. They've actually done that, that's the first time they did that, and it's like, to me, it would have made sense to put it all in one album. But whatever, we got them a couple months apart. Then we've got, in fact, where are mine? I did not grab them. Well, they're on the shelf. For some reason, I didn't grab them. But Automata 1 and Automata 2, that's kind of what I was talking about. So they did the two-part Parallax. Then they did kind of the same thing in 2018 with the two-part Automata as two separate releases. Again, it's a concept, right? But they kind of had a few months in between. You got one, then you got the other, a couple months apart. To me, just release them all as a double album if that's what you're going to do, because I have no issues with that. They're both really, really good, so I like that quite a bit. Then you got, actually, I skipped one. Sorry, I'm going out of order here. I'm so excited to be talking about this band. 2015, Coma Ecliptic. This is really good. This one's really different. They're utilizing a lot more avant-garde things here. Definitely a lot more like theatrical prog in spots. There's bits of this album that can remind me of like kind of the whimsical Emerson, Lake and Palmer. There's called this weird just kind of theatricality to a lot of songs on here, but it still has a lot of the elements that make albums like The Great Misdirect and Colors really, really good. So yeah, I think, and this one has more clean vocals than I think some of the other albums. It's a little bit different. This one took a little getting used to. It's still brilliant, but it's got a lot of the vocals are a little bit different. A lot of the arrangements are a little less heavy and more kind of just quirky and whatnot, but still really, really good. And then, of course, they just released in 2021 one of my favorite albums of last year, Colors 2. They do revisit a couple of musical themes here and there throughout the album, but it doesn't really sound like the first Colors, but it's basically continuing on the concept, the story of the main character and kind of where he goes from there. So, this is quite good as well. And, of course, it's got a similar type theme on the cover, right? Really, really good. Again, they've done all these really great concept albums, so where do they go from here? It's been kind of a while since they've done just an album of songs, right? So whether they do that next, I don't know. But so lots of stuff here. So I would say definitely for me, the one to check out, if you don't mind, the big bombastic heavy stuff with a little bit of extreme nature, definitely check out Colors. If you like stuff that's a little bit more on the avant-garde and classic prog, fun, theatrical, quirky, Coma Ecliptic might be the way to go for you. If you really want to just dive into like these big, massive, like epic two-part storyline type things, check out the Parallax and Parallax 2 and Automata 1 and Automata 2. Can't believe I didn't grab those. They probably just were not sitting in line with the rest of these. Or I'm stuffing shit on the shelves like crazy, so I'm like running out of room. I gotta recatalog everything and do some stuff. So anyway, there you have it. Between the Buried and Me, a great band. I spent a little bit more time talking about these guys, but they got a bunch of albums, and I really love them a lot. So that is my pick today, day 7. So let us know what your pick is for today, as well as if you've listened to Between the Buried and Me, what you think of these guys. And if you haven't, go out and listen to some of the stuff I talked about and let us know what you think, right? So Make sure you please click on that like button. Very, very, very important in the algorithm thing here. So click that like button. Also click on that notification bell if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, do that as well. We also have the links down below to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for day 8 of my 31 must-hear bands of the 21st century coming up tomorrow morning. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.